I've got two wonderful premium stick vacs right here, both of which I received for review. Now, I originally received these 2 years ago and have been using them daily in my home ever since. One of them lives on the bottom floor and the other one lives on the top floor, so they both get a lot of use. And because I have such a long amount of experience with both of them, I want to talk about the pros and the cons, because while they're both fantastic, there are definitely some strengths within one that the other doesn't have and vice versa. Okay, so the first one, we have the LG. One thing that I love about the LG is that everything is contained in this one single space. Unfortunately, with the Samsung one, the tools, the different attachments, and the extra battery go on this little handheld caddy that it comes with. And it's all nice, it's self-contained. It does, to make sure that you can charge the battery, have a cable though. So you essentially have to have two different items plugged in. Now, because it's separate, you can hide it somewhere. You can put it in a closet, you can put it in your garage, you can put it somewhere where it's out of sight if you prefer. And that does lend itself to a little bit more minimalist look if you want that. So the Samsung, that becomes a pro if you don't mind having a place to put this and you want the most minimalist profile you can possibly have in your house while still having a visible vacuum. This one's actually better for that. But if you're like, you know what, I don't have another cabinet, I don't want to find two places to plug things in, that's too much for me, I want everything in one place at once, then that's where the LG comes in. That one shines a lot better because everything is in this tower. There are no extra bits and bobs. Literally everything's right here. So I'm going to go over what's in this tower first. If you open up the top, that's where the spare battery lives. Both of them come with two batteries. Like I said, that one comes on the caddy. This one, it lives within the tower itself. And then additionally, it has attachments that open up on the inside. So we have attachments here. And then we also have the mop attachment. The mop attachment can fit on either side. You put it on whichever side you think makes sense. This little thing flips around and then becomes a hanger on here. And then if you say, okay, what's gonna live on that side? I don't want it on this side. Then you flip it around like that. And then for this one, the bag that gets changed is in here. And there are directions on the insides of here about how to change the bag and where things go. So if you forget, maybe you're not doing it very often because you don't need to, then it's a nice reminder instead of having to pull out the manual. It's another example of why this one is very self-contained, self-serving, does absolutely everything all in one spot. Doesn't make you hunt for the manual, doesn't have a little caddy. The other upside that this one has, which I alluded to before, is the wet mopping ability. There are pads. Those don't have a home actually, so I did lie a little bit. Those I don't think have a place that they belong in the caddy, although they are very thin. You could probably hide them somewhere in here if you wanted to, but mine live in a drawer. I wash them in the washing machine, take them out and throw them in a drawer as soon as they're dry. So that is the one thing that is not contained in this tower. And they just stick on right here. These spin. You fill with water. You can choose the water level here. It's a little bit dusty because I'm doing construction in my house. Not because I don't dust. But you push this button. This is where you fill with water. You can see that it is a very small amount of water. So this is something that you're doing like one room at a time. You're not going to do your whole house filling it with water. This is a little bit of water, one room at a time. Okay. And it's not heated in any capacity. So because all of this also has to work with a vacuum, the actual water mopping section has to all happen here. It can't actually interact with the rest of the vacuum because it's not made for water. This part's made for water. So it doesn't heat itself. All you can do is choose between the two different levels, a little bit of water or more water, essentially. But it works, and it is nice that this gives you the option to do both dry as well as wet. Now, the Samsung one has an attachment for mopping, but mine didn't come with one, and I want to say that the ones in America don't come with one, even though the ones in other countries do. So you can purchase it though if you want to. I didn't bother. I already have one, so I'm fine. And in addition to that, I haven't had a lot of hard floors in my house until now. We're just now swapping out our floors. So, but again, this one, the nice advantage is that everything is more attractive, I think, and smaller profile. So if I want to hide this away and not look at it anywhere, then I have just this very clean line, small, can go behind a curtain, and it's not going to stick out, and it doesn't take nearly as much space as this one. On top of that, underneath there is directionality for the cord, so you can channel the cord to come out from whatever side that you want it to come out from, which just gives you a little bit more of aesthetic option. And then on top of that, I do think that this one vacuums a couple things a little bit better, but it doesn't have the mop. So both of them do empty very well. This one has a nice, the LG has a little lever that you can loosen the gunk that is stuck in the canister. It's nice if you're in the middle of vacuuming a room and you notice like a loss of suction, it's because it's starting to get full. You can compress it down and maybe extend the time between your next trip to go empty it. Yeah, and then this one, the Samsung, the bag lives in here. So this is how you change out the bag. And again, it doesn't have a lot of extra empty space, whereas this one has some empty space in the drawers. This one has just the exact amount of space that it needs to take up, and that is literally it. The other thing that I like that this one has is a percentage on the battery indicator, whereas the LG only has little bars like a battery. So this is the height difference. They are pretty much exact, but I can tell you that I think that the LG is a little bit more comfortable to hold and to reach those longer distances, whereas the Samsung is just a little bit, it's got a different weight balance to it. But yeah, both of these vacuums are great. I definitely recommend either of them. I will say that if the aesthetic factor doesn't matter to you, if the storage versus the minimalism doesn't matter to you, the next thing that I would consider most important is probably how it handles medium-sized pieces of debris. And in that case, I would say that the Samsung is the winner. And particularly for me, that means cat food. So at the end of the day, if storage is not your primary concern, if aesthetics are not your primary concern, and you're just looking for the one that is going to be more versatile when it comes to size of debris, that's the Samsung. If you want something that is all-inclusive and includes something that can do wet on your floor, then that's the LG. And I would say that that's probably the biggest deal breaker that you're going to want to consider between these two. And if you're looking for a stick vac, consider either of these. I'm happy with both of them, and a link to each can be found in the description below.